G'day everyone, I'm Dave. One of the things we want to talk about a little bit today is plastic. A lot of tools, especially today, are all coming coated in plastic, and even this one, which is an oldie but a goodie, is plastic. But overuse and over time, they get scratched up, the plastic gets scratched up. There's a screwdriver, the top's all banged up from someone using it as a hammer. To get plastic restored and to turn it back shiny, just like it was when it was first bought, is not very difficult. A lot of the techniques we're going to show you today, whether you're working on automotive plastic, plastic bumpers on cars, which is where I learned a lot of this from, or even with steel work, it's all pretty well the same idea. When you get any kind of a scratch, what you have to do is you have to look at really how deep the scratch is and how rough you want to go into getting rid of that scratch. When I'm dealing with plastic, typically, I'm using something like a 220 grit to get rid of it because I don't have the patience to sit here and sand for hours. So what I'm going to do is start literally just sanding that. And as I'm sanding, you'll see the differences in color. Those differences are showing me where the problem areas are. The ones that are quite light in here, you can see that what they are, they're actually holding the plastic residue. So what I'm going to do is take that sandpaper and just keep sanding and sanding and sanding. And this is one of the reasons why I'm using a rougher grit, just so I don't have to sand for hours. And I'm going to start sanding that until I see a uniform color. Now we can already see there, it's starting to look more uniform. I don't see gouges where that plastic dust is sitting. I do see a few over here. So we're just going to sand that up a little bit more. Now, in between layers, in between sanding, I can't emphasize this enough. Wipe, 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 clean it. I quite often use isopropyl rubbing alcohol and wipe it down just to get any kind of wax or anything out of there, and just to make sure I do get all that dust out. Next thing you want to do is, once we start with one grit, we're going to up it to the next grit, next grit, next grit. A lot of people want to sort of jump across grits and go, let's say, from a 220 all the way up to, let's say, a 2000. By using multiple grits, the more levels you have of sandpapers as you go through, it'll actually sand faster. You'll actually save time. And when you consider that, you've seen how little time I actually used on this one grit. Each grit I'm only going to use for a very short period of time so that the sandpaper itself even lasts longer. It's easier to clean when you're done. You just whack it a little bit with your fingernail, and you'll actually get the job done faster by going through multiple grits. I'm just going to hit that up again, and what I'm doing is I'm getting rid of the marks, the last one left, and you'll notice even the color as I'm sanding, the color is closer. There is a difference. You can see where I sanded and where I haven't, and if I feel it, it's starting to feel smoother. And now what I'm looking for this time is I'm not looking for the deep scratches. I'm looking for the small little scratches that the last sandpaper left. And you can see there actually are a fair number. Again, wipe. We're already starting to see some of the shine come in. The main mark that was here before is now gone. We got some of our sanding marks still. But once we get through our sandpaper and we can work way up to even 1,000 grit, 2,000 grit, one of the things that's very easy to pick up is these little buffing wheels. These ones here are actually meant to put on bench grinders, but you can actually buy little mandrels that literally just screw in to your buffing wheel. I'm going to throw that into a drill. Once we get that drill in, and it looks pretty centered, what we have to do is throw a bit of compound on here. What you have is basically, in essence, it's pretty well almost a wax with a grit into it. That's pretty well what rubbing compound is as well. It's pretty well a car wax with a bit of grit. You can get all sorts of different grits. They typically color them. Different colors means different grits. Red, which is one of the rougher ones, all the way up to green, which is more of a polish. We're going to put a bit on here. It's just like putting a crayon on. We're just going to spin the wheel and hold it against it. We're going to take that, we're going to just spin that on that same area we were sanding. And of course, afterwards, wipe it down. What was that, maybe 2-3 minutes? Our main scratch that we had here is now gone. We're starting to bring a shine in. And if we want to bring that even more to a shine, what we'll do is actually go back to the sandpaper, sand it. We'll actually go through the stages of stepping up from grit to grit to grit, making sure that we're getting rid of all the scratch marks, all the little check marks at the first layer, and then building up and sanding down each grit. And then once we go on to our spinning wheel, we'll do the first grit. We'll switch to a different wheel with more of a polishing, and we can polish that up. And when we're all done, and this is all spotless, we can take literally a car wax and wipe it down. Now that we got this one cleaned up a little bit, obviously we'd have to do the rest of it if we want to put it up for sale. I'll just show you another example. There's our screwdriver that was used as a hammer. We got all the marks across there. Same process applies. Start with our 220 in this case, and same idea. There you go. You can see the shine. That's literally looking brand new. Hopefully you've learned a little something on plastics today. It doesn't matter if it's plastic on a tool, plastic in a car, plastic in a box, or whatever kind of plastic you're dealing with. Same rules apply. It doesn't take much to bring a shine back to plastic and to make it sell a lot faster and look a lot better in your toolbox. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comments, please leave them in the comment area, and stay tuned for future videos.